Sledgehammer Games is sometimes seen by COD players as the weakest of the three main studios, while I actually think that they've made some super underrated games throughout the years. I do understand where the animosity probably stems from. This studio has made some really bad multiplayer maps throughout the years, and in this video today, unfortunately, we're going to showcase those. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy, your Chaos. We are going to be looking at the worst of the worst. That's right. The 10 worst Sledgehammer maps in COD history. They all can't be bangers. Let me know in the comments what you think the worst sledge map of all time is. Drop a like on the video, and let's get started off with one that I do not think is going to be very controversial, and I don't even really know how to say the name. At number 10, the Groesten Haus in COD World War II. Hope I didn't butcher that. This map was added to COD World War II as free DLC just a little while into its life cycle. Concept? It was interesting. It was more or less a perfect copy of one of the zombies maps, complete with the creepy atmosphere, the weather effects, everything to set the mood. Visually, it was awesome. The vibes, they were unique. But the layout and the lighting, it sucked. It's very clear that this map was designed for PvE zombies and not 6v6 multiplayer. It didn't help that the snow effects made it hard to see enemy players in certain sections of the map. The layout, it just didn't work very well in a fast-paced respawn shooter. And the lighting, it made everything worse. So on one hand, I can respect Sledgehammer for giving this map away for free. I can also respect the idea of turning zombies maps into multiplayer maps. But the community, I don't think, was on board with this one. Let me know if I'm wrong or right. Before we move on, guys, go check out the Chaos Gaming channel. If you want more gaming news, we're talking about the new Xbox console coming way before the PlayStation. We're talking about Resident Evil 9, the next God of War, Cyberpunk 2. The link is at the top of the description. Get over there and get subscribed. At number 9. Atlas Gorge in Advanced Warfare. Such a strange case because while it was originally designed by Infinity Ward as Pipeline in COD 4, Sledgehammer for some reason decided to remake it for Advanced Warfare and make a bunch of changes to compensate for the exosuit, so I'm going to make it eligible for the list. Usually I don't include remakes on these developer-specific lists because technically it was Infinity Ward who came up with the layout. But Sledgehammer, they had the opportunity to improve upon it and their changes, and instead they made it worse somehow. The flow here was all over the place. It felt impossible to get a good match going because you never really had a solid understanding of where people were coming from or what kind of playstyle you should be utilizing. Pipeline worked in Call of Duty 4 because the movement was grounded and slow. Advanced Warfare, everybody had jetpacks, crazy gun variants. It didn't work. And all of Sledge's changes to the original just made those problems stand out even more than they probably otherwise would have. At number 8. Demansk in Vanguard? Demansk? I don't remember. I don't know. Vanguard, I mean, I know had some solid maps, but despite being such a hated game, probably one of my least played games. But this launch map, which once again, is it Demansk? Yansk? I don't know. It was pretty weak. Looked pretty because of the snow and the trees scattered around, had some unique vibes, but the layout, it didn't work well. Didn't work with the gameplay of COD Vanguard. It was one of the larger maps in Vanguard on launch day, and the visibility caused some issues due to certain parts of the map being a bit too easy to exploit. And yes, the buildings, they all looked really well modeled, and they added the cool vibe of the map as a whole. Some of those maps were total campfest, especially if you get up on the roof before anyone else. Definitely not a strong point for Sledgehammer's map design. And if this was your first impression of Vanguard's multiplayer, I don't blame you for putting the game down and never looking back. At number 7, I can pronounce this one. Downturn in the original Modern Warfare 3, in case you didn't know. Sledgehammer was actually responsible for the multiplayer in the original game, which means they are also responsible for Downturn. This is hands down the most hated map in the game because of the horrendous game flow. There was no visibility, the colors were boring, and the spawns were confusing. It was literally everything wrong with Call of Duty maps rolled into one location at the time. I guess you could say it was cool to see Wall Street all busted up and there was a handful of interesting set pieces, but none of them were even close to being interesting enough to make up for how bad the map play was. OG Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer may have been a fan favorite. Downturn was nobody's favorite. I'm willing to bet this was the single least played map in the entire game because absolutely nobody ever voted for it when it showed up in the pregame lobby. At number 6, Stay High in Modern Warfare 3 2023. Technically another remake, but it deserves a spot on the list because of just how much the community hated it for good reason. I'm here to validate. It was another remake of Shipment, because that's what we needed. But instead of being set in a yard with a bunch of shipping containers, it was instead this weird, colorful digital fever dream with a bunch of big blocks and TV static. Not really sure what Sledgehammer was trying to do with this version of Shipment, but it was pretty bad. Because not only did it have all the problems that the modern Shipment remakes have in reimagining those being insane spawns and terrible game flow, but now you have the added element of not being able to properly see anything on the screen because the map was so bright. It was colorful, way too difficult to see enemy players quickly when they came on the screen. So if you hated Shipment before, you probably really hated this version. And if you didn't hate Shipment before, then Stay High would probably make you start hating it. Now we arrive at the top 5. Gibraltar and COD World War II. Sledgehammer seems to have a bad habit of making really pretty maps based on real-world locations, but then not really making the layout very suitable for a fast-paced arcade shooter like COD. Gibraltar was a launch map in COD World War II, stunningly accurate to the real-world location. It was also loaded with problems that made it a nightmare to play on. The middle of the map was cluttered, but the 2 side lanes were really open and campy, which made the flow really confusing. It also did not help matters at both ends of the maps. The areas near A and C flags and Dom had a ton of unused space that frequently caused the spawn engine to get confused. It would spawn you back there over and over and over again while the enemy team just shot you like fish in a barrel. A visually stunning map with a very frustrating layout and terrible spawning systems made it one of the worst maps in COD World War II. Arguably, one of the worst maps that Sledgehammer has ever put in one of their games, if you ask me. At number 4, Instinct and Advanced Warfare. I think this is pretty widely seen as the worst map in AW. I may be wrong. You can correct me if I am. I don't have an argument if it is. In case you blocked Instinct out of your mind, let me refresh. Jungle map. Launched with AW. Supposed to be the super fast-paced, interesting map, but it often just felt hectic and unbalanced because of the insane changes in elevation from one side of the map to the other. Traversing the map was a nightmare because there was so much open space there, and how long the engagements were in most scenarios, it just didn't really feel like Advanced Warfare's gameplay at the best. It also didn't help the spawns were janky, especially in Dom, where you would easily spawn trap the entire enemy team with ease if you just stood in the right place for a few seconds. Absolute terrible map. Now, I've been very apologetic on behalf of Advanced Warfare throughout the years, but I will not defend Instinct. I think we can all agree. At number 3, the USS Texas and COD World War II. Do you remember everything I said about Gibraltar? Gorgeous map, real-world inspiration, lots of problems with the layout, made it painful to play on. Well, here you go, the Texas. This should have been an awesome map. Medium-sized map, set on an American warship, very long and narrow, which made it have some interesting engagements. Instead, it was supposed to have interesting engagements. Instead, though, it was a really boring campfest and people just sat on the second-story vantage points and tried to snipe over and over again. Much like Gibraltar, there was too much dead space on the ends of the map, and that led to the spawn engine constantly getting locked on one side or the other for minutes at a time for easy kill streaks for the other team. And even if you managed to get to the middle interior of the map, it's not like the experience got better. The middle section of the map was so close quarters and frantic, you weren't going to have a better time there than you were outside. To me, the whole thing sucked. Again, amazing map. Looked great. Horrible gameplay. At number 2, Subpens and Vanguard. I don't know what Sledgehammer was thinking. I don't. Frankly, I think Subpens it's basically just the USS Texas, but worse. Super long, super narrow, super easy to exploit. Made it one of the least fun ways to experience the gameplay. When I first saw the map list of COD Vanguard and saw the word Subpens, I thought it was going to be a World War II era reskin of Subbase from the original Modern Warfare 2, and I was excited, but instead, it was this abomination. I don't even know what else to say about the map that I already didn't say about the USS Texas. Basically, all the problems, all the same. Too narrow, too exploitable. Even if you managed to get to the middle of the map and out of the spawn, the middle of the map was a total cluster, so the whole experience was pointless. They should have just made a World War II themed reskin of Modern Warfare 2 Subbase. And at number 1, no shocker here, Gustaf Cannon, COD World War II. No doubt, right? One of the most infamous maps in COD history because of the size, the absolute lack of solid game pacing. Gustaf was huge. It was open. Kind of like Wasteland from Modern Warfare 2, but instead of there being a big bunker in the middle of the map, there was a giant cannon. And you could climb up on top of said giant cannon and use it as a sniping vantage point that was absolutely impossible to counter if you knew what you were doing. By getting on top of the cannon, throwing down some S-mines, you could spawn trap the enemy team till the end of the match because there was only a handful of spawn points on the map despite it being so huge, and it was really easy to predict where the game was going to put people next. Gustaf was one of the most hated maps in COD history, and as much as people like to say aspects of COD World War II are underrated or not deserving of all the hate they received, I don't think anyone will disagree with me when I say Gustaf was the worst map Sledgehammer has ever designed. Frankly, there will never be any doubt in my mind that it shouldn't be on the top of the list. I'm pretty sure Sledgehammer made fun of themselves and this map at some point in an interview. You guys can go fact check me on that. Let me know one Sledge map that was bad enough to make this list that did not, and I'll see you guys soon.